All right, hello, chat. How are you doing today? I'm sure you're happy, and if you're not happy, the news that Hasbro is currently firing 1,000 people after the open gaming license debacle will surely bring a smile to your small, sadistic faces. I know what you like. You're all evil. Don't pretend otherwise.
Just leave Arch in awkward silence. That'll make him feel happy. He's like, oh, just sad, depressed, even angry, upset.
We also have a few other things today. It's been an eventful couple of days, so absolutely nothing before that. We have a little bit of a peek into Valve, amongst other things. Some more random wokist made an expose of Valve, which ended up not really exposing anything other than the company's stupidly set up and can only really be run like this by a person like Gabe Newell, who already has infinite money and never actually does anything. We also have the final viewership numbers for Rings of Power, just in case anyone still thought that it might be some kind of success as well.
Totally crushed
And of
their
course,
hopes.
the open gaming license, where just yesterday, actually, Wizards of the Coast announced that they were completely backing down from de-authenticating the 1.0 variant of it, which there were indications that they were going to try and delegitimize it, even if they didn't go any further. But it looks like the entire OGL 1.1, 1.2 now is just actually dead, which is nice.
I have no idea what that is because I don't play D&D.
Yes, you do.
And neither do you. You don't like D&D.
I have.
You play it, but you hate it. Yeah, I heard that. It's like, yeah. Yeah. It's trash.
It's baby's first RPG, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's very uninteresting. But yes, very much Beast first RPG. Well, as
And
long
a
as
little
they're
bit of
tanking.
revelation of a lie as well, as we were told when the Cowboy Bebop live action show was in production, that they were working closely with the artist. Turns out that wasn't entirely true either, but oh well.
It sounds better on paper if you say you were.
It does sound better. Working closely can mean working with telephone contact. Happens.
Sort of like the Aliens franchise and how they worked with Giger. They're like, we're not gonna just do what we want with these now. He's like, oh, very tragic.
Starting with the Hasbro thing, what's interesting here is, okay, so we knew the Dungeons and Dragons thing. They had a talk with one of their little head executives, which came from the AAA gaming market, and made the whole speech and presentation, which we mentioned a few times on the channel, about how D&D was under-monetized, which is kind of like saying that a character is under-sexualized in this day and age.
I mean, I suppose.
In that nothing will really come of it, frankly. And this then led to, presumably, the plans for the new open gaming license, where they wanted to try and get rid of their competitors who had been using this against them. The open gaming license was a set of open source rules which anyone and everybody could use, so long as they abided by a handful of basic instructions, like making sure that people knew that it came from the open gaming license. That was about it. And if they did that, they could pick and choose from amongst a pretty huge variety of Dungeons and Dragons core rule sets, including monsters, stats, rule sets, etc., and simply just make that into a game of their own and then sell it. This was how Pathfinder was started. The first and second edition of Pathfinder was basically just D&D with extra rules on top. So in essence, Wizards of the Coast managed to create their own largest competitor, which they have come to regret, as it turns out, weirdly enough.
Well, you know, actions have consequences. Don't they? They love that line. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. And of course, all of this was done because they wanted to increase the popularity of Dungeons and Dragons, which it did. D&D is far more well known today than it was back then. And the open gaming license is a big reason for that, as a lot more people had the ability to get into the hobby, and a lot more people had the ability to start making custom content for the hobby, even creating straight-up spin-offs that really have nothing to do with D&D at all, really.
Yeah. I don't know. When it comes to the D&D stuff, like, I think a lot of people don't actually care as much as they used to. D&D used to have the monopoly. It was the pen and paper RPG, but who the fuck still plays classic D&D? Like, that's just like baby's first thing. Like, everyone I know either does Pathfinder, for big boys, or they're playing Rogue Trader or some more interesting system. Like, the sad reality that they have to catch up to is the fact that they're kind of obsolete now. Like, the world's moved on without them. Like, they were the innovator. They started something new, and, they were spearheading that front. But as with time, they've kind of been passed up by different people, younger people, new blood, so to speak.
Well, no. just shuts him down. The Dungeons and Dragons is still by far the largest player in the business. They've got a net income of something like $1 billion fucking bucks a year. Like, they're enormous still, and they're likely to remain enormous for the foreseeable future, because they are baby's first role-playing game. Everyone knows what Dungeons and Dragons is because Dungeons and Dragons literally was the name of tabletop RPG for the longest time. There was no other game like it.
Yeah.
In large parts because it was catering to such an enormously niche group of people.
I'm sure back in the 80s it was, but honestly, the only time I ever hear D&D is when people bring up Wizards of the Coast to talk about how awful it is in the current horrific state it's in.
Yeah, but again, that's us. We are the overwhelming minority in these spheres, especially as the aim of the open gaming license was to bring D&D to the mainstream, which it succeeded in beyond all expectations, to the point that, well, again, this is one of those things, right? When I was a kid, the very idea of telling someone that you played fucking role-playing games was social suicide. Like,
yep,
it was...
You're old.
Yeah, it's like going to school and trying to impress girls with your enormous hentai figurine collection,
I think that'll still get the same reaction, but that was definitely not the case for my generation. It's kind of the norm now.
Yes, this has now become the normie hobby, and people who have no idea what it is are embracing it by the thousands, to the point that now D&D is an enormous business. But here's the thing. No matter the economic success of these people, they are never happy because they are now run by corporations, they are run by executives, and they're run by people from the AAA gaming industry who can see hundreds of millions of dollars in income and profit and still be like, I mean, it could be more though, couldn't it? Like, if we got rid of all competitors, it could still be more, couldn't it?
Perhaps.
And therein lies the issue, because here's the thing. They made the open gaming license fully aware that it was going to let other people use their stuff to create their own things. In fact, that was the express intent of the open gaming license. And then, 12 years later, they're like, yeah, but we didn't want other people to make stuff with our stuff.
Well, it's unfortunate for them, but I think it's a little late now.
It is a little late now, but it's such... in many ways, it illustrates the kind of transformation in the hobby sphere, right? Because back in the day, the gaming scene also, everyone was just kind of in it for the love. Like, nobody really had the ego yet, shall we say? Like, I remember the oh god, what's it called? It was like this little 2D platformer thingy with a rotating perspective. Fez? Something?
Yeah, I believe Fez. It was pretty popular.
Yes.
It was definitely something that it blew up into the sphere for there for a bit, and then sort of, it still is actually. I think people still talk about it occasionally, but not really anymore.
Post that in the link chat. So, yes, Fez. So Fez was this game, and it blew up because it had this interesting mechanic where you had the 2D plane, but you could rotate it. So you actually had 4 2D planes. Then you had some platforming and some stuff and the cutesy little art style. And this was during the beginning of the indie boom, so it really exploded. But the developer went on an enormous bitch fit and essentially left the scene after screaming and yelling and crying like a little girl for an extended period of time. And this was just a watershed moment because everyone was like, what the fuck? What are you doing, dude? Like, you don't behave like this. It was completely abnormal. No one understood why the hell this was happening because everyone up until this point were just making games. Like, the very idea of the indie revolution wasn't really seen as necessarily even an alternative to AAA gaming. It was just more gaming, because most of us hadn't yet woken up to what gaming had become yet.
It was an eye-opener for the outside of the sphere people. Us.
Yes. Like, because it felt like one of those settings where like you could get into gaming and it would like this was the thing too why so many people got educations to become games developers because they felt like this was an incredibly like open and fun and energetic kind of setting where everyone just loved each other and loved making video games and you could just get a job making video games and it would be fun and glorious.
Yep, I remember when I was like 6, that was the one thing that drove me to become a developer. It was a delusion. I think we all know that now. Everybody had that too. Because everybody thought making video games just sounds awesome. It sounds, it's like being a rock star, but making video games. And you get big name people, and you had all sorts of people like Peter Molyneux at the height of his quote unquote popularity and various other ones where they sounded like these titans, these giants, and then disaster after disaster and the cracks started to show, and you quickly begin to realize that they're all just kind of liars and they're all kind of egomaniacs, narcissists and stuff like that. And it's just filled to the brim with it because it was always there. It was held in check, not because of themselves, but because they never really talked to the players that much when they released their games. They release a game, then they release a patch, and you never got to see too much. It was the introduction of cons and being able to make these connections with these people that allowed this to surface because we could finally see it. It had always been present since the beginning. It's just it became a lot more obvious to everyone else once we could see them for ourselves.
Yes. And this was also what kind of started with Dungeons and Dragons. Like the open gaming license, I believe, came probably primarily from a place of genuine wish to have more people in the sphere, in the hobby. Like they wanted to share it with more people. They wanted to make D&D available to more people. They wanted to grow it and make it bigger and for more people to enjoy it. I don't necessarily think, in fact, I'm almost certain that it was not a cold business decision, because otherwise they wouldn't have made an open gaming license that permissive. But things have changed now. It's no longer, hey, let's have everyone join in. Wow, this is so cool. I can have success. You can have success. We can all be happy doing this thing. No, now it is, I will cut your children's throat and use their flesh as sustenance.
Well, the other thing is they also had a monopoly at the time, but now they have competitors that threaten them and are eating into their market. And so now it's no longer that, because everyone will always say like, oh, I hope you're successful with your project, except if it's, in my market, then I hope you fail and die. That's always been that way, though.
That's the thing. Like
even
that
in the
is
80s.
Well, kinda, yeah, but it's not how it should be, and it's not how it needs to be.
Well, it's human nature. Because, like, I have a little bit more insight because my uncle was in the industry and he worked for Black Isle. And all those RPG companies, all of those things, all those people, all those big names, there's always been ego, there's always been narcissism, there's always been people trying to cut each other's throats since the beginning of time in the gaming industry. It's not a new thing. It's been there. And it's just only gotten worse as time has gone on because we can all see it. They're no longer trying to pretend anymore because the cat's out of the bag now. We all know it.
Yeah, but I still believe there's a different degree of cynicism involved, and it is the worst of human nature.
Yeah, but it is unfortunately part of the industry, and it's part of many industries, not just this one.
I think it might be that some people turn others into this, though. Like, because that at the very least was my experience. When I started becoming successful on YouTube, my first thought was, okay, how can I help other people become successful on YouTube? And I was swiftly taught a lesson about that as well.
Well, because you got in the way or you're no longer useful to them, so they threw you away. And that's unfortunately the same for that, because not everybody is going to try to help each other out. Some people are willing to push people down in order to climb up on top of them and basically try to get better than them or get ahead of them. It always has been this way.
I like to believe it wasn't, but it certainly is that way now. It might even simply be that it's simply just gotten more acceptable now, so people do it more often and more openly. But in this case, I'll send the link there. This ended with the open gaming license being announced. The new one, that is, where they were trying to deauthorize the old one and basically just cut the legs from underneath most of their competition. Now, I believe this was probably merely the initial push in what would eventually then have become a Games Workshop style attempt to copyright a variety of the mysterious douchey things in D&D, like copywriting dragons or
Beholders,
drow or dark elves. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, no, definitely. Because these corporations are all the same. GW, the D&D, WTC, like they no longer have the ability to maintain their monopoly, and now due to desperation, they're going to do whatever it takes to basically reestablish their monopoly again. And the only way to do that is to literally cheat the system and basically be like, well, you're using my thing, you're banned. Get out. And that's unfortunate, but that's sadly the reality we live in, and this is where it's come to. It was always going to end this way, sadly.
But it got a massive amount of backlash because it was leaked before it was ready. Because their plan was to release this to the people they were working with and then blow it up. And then anything that came from their competitors would immediately be tainted because they would be releasing it from their own perspective and with their own gains in mind. But since it was leaked, everyone got a hold of it at the same time. It was free game. Every YouTuber, every God damn it. I see. Thank you, Dev, for the raid. But the moment I saw the Dev pop up there, I was like, every socialist. Like,
hold up. Where's my thank you? I rated you first. He's copying me.
You didn't get a pop-up, so.
Yeah, but I did do it. You saw it. Don't you lie.
Where was my train of thought now? Socialism something?
Yes, we're on to Nazi Germany.
God damn it.
National Social Party.
But yeah, all of the social media commentators, that was the word I was trying to look for. And they began ripping it apart because it was not a legal document either. Like, it wasn't legally enforceable. You can't deauthorize an agreement 12 years later just because. Like, that's not how anything functions. And this also got Paizo up in arms, their primary competitor, who allied with a bunch of other alternatives and basically said, we're willing to take on this legal battle. And that was in many ways them calling D&D's bluff, because this was intended to be a shock and awe campaign where they would give the company the contract, and they would go, you have 7 days to sign or we're suing you and we're pulling all of our support and we're ruining you. And hoping that the companies would have no opportunity to call in lawyers, find lawyers, because, contract lawyers. This is the thing. You can't just call up any lawyer either. You need a specialist in the field, and that specialist tells you to go to another specialist, and so on, and so on, and so on, fucking so on. And give them no chance to alliance build either. But That didn't happen, and instead, Wizards of the Coast got absolutely wrecked by a unified internet and had enormous subscription cancellations as well for their D&D Beyond subscription service, which made them backtrack and then launch a survey, which is the one you're looking at here now, to look what they could do better for Open Gaming License 1.2. And basically, the near unified response was, don't do anything. Go away.
Go fuck yourself. As it should be. And this is the importance of outcry and why you should be loud when you don't like something. Even if you play that thing, even if you play D&D, you know, because you're sad, which is fair, you need to be loud and vocal anytime they do something. Even if you don't, because their battleground is our battleground too. And you have to basically fight them wherever they're found. Because these corporations aren't going to stop here. This isn't going to be the end of this either. They're just going to simply wait for this to blow over and try again later. They always do.
There is certainly a chance. But the nice thing is the new OGL has completely been abandoned. And they are now stating that we are leaving the OGL 1.0A in place as it is untouched. And they are now just offering up the next one as kind of an alternative. Which is nice because... Well, the thing is, it's pointless for them because nobody is going to sign up to the new one. You would have to be very stupid to do so.
Or just simply, you don't read it.
Yes.
Oh.
But this is also... the thing is here, interestingly, is Hasbro has been making a fairly big concerted push into this particular market. Again, we can go back to the first article I posted, where D&D has been a big moneymaker for Hasbro. Like, again, we keep thinking of D&D as this kind of small little thing. No. It's one of the main monetary sources for one of the largest toy companies on the planet, you know? And they were even making a Dungeons & Dragons movie, but now they've shuttered the entire movie development branch because it's too expensive. They've fired 15% of its workforce, 1,000 people, because of the enormous dip in the toy market. And they're looking to D&D to pick up the loss for this. Like, I bet you, again, Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, they came up with the Open Gaming License 1.1 together to try and further monetize their setting. This was Hasbro's idea to right the ship, and the ship has now sunk before it even had the opportunity to right itself. So now D&D needs to bear more of the burden for Hasbro with the massively hostile market, with competitors unionizing against them, with players fleeing them by the thousands.
Mm-hmm.
This is a bit of a perfect storm right now, frankly.
It is. And you know what? That's kind of funny, is all I can say. Because at the end of the day, you know, there will be new companies that'll rise up in the vacuum that this is going to create. It's only going to be... it's going to be certainly interesting to see if Hasbro can somehow work out something in order to quote unquote salvage the situation. But I actually think that this is pretty bad. Like, they're going to be in some death row problems if this doesn't get corrected soon.
There is a possibility here, at the very least, for a bit of a death spiral for Dungeons and Dragons and the rise of competitors. Now, bear you in mind, Paizo is just as much of a woke piece of shit company as Dungeons and Dragons is.
Very true. Yep.
There is that, but this is a big opportunity for people in the tabletop gaming industry to rise up and try to do something different. It also means that Hasbro might be on the lookout for a new moneymaker as well, which is an interesting idea. I mean, the thing is, Hasbro isn't going to go under. Hasbro has that fucking stupid pig show for children, which people watch by the trillions. They own Play-Doh. You know, they own Power Rangers and My Little Pony. Hasbro ain't going under anytime soon. But Wizards of the Coast, that might be a different question.
Yes. And honestly, Wizards of the Coast caving in could be just hilarious. That is a company that isn't. It's just the most rotted name now when you hear it. You can just think of all the controversies and dramas that have come out of that disaster. Oh my goodness.
And it's so stupid too. It is so actually meaningless. If D&D had just continued to make D&D, they would be raking in even more cash now. If they would just continue doing what they wanted to do, that everything would be fine. But nope. They have to engage in all this kind of nonsense and, of course, the racial politics of the modern year, because that's how we are today. And this is why, I'll send you another link here. We'll move on to the next topic, which is Valve. This is why Valve is still, bar none, the king of PC gaming. So there was an expose video made by a guy who he was the one who made the whole Roblox child exploitation scandal, which was highly manufactured, in my opinion, but oh well, details. And he went in and dug into Valve to see if he could find a similar looking kind of scandal thing, right?
Yep.
And what he found was just that Valve appears to be actually a pretty decent company for all of its flaws.
Well, that's good. I mean, Valve is definitely not like a saint. Make no mistake, Chat, because I know they've done things that are really cunty. They've sold us that god-awful fucking Valve controller, that other fucking thing they had where it was like some sort of streaming device. There's been many disasters, but at the end of the day, it's still just a corporation. And as long as they're attempting to make good products and they succeed well enough, then honestly that's good enough for me.
Well, that's the thing. The beauty of Valve is they're not making products. They're
Well, what define product? Because they make VR sets now, so that is technically product.
Sorta. But the headline here reads, former Valve employee says Gabe Newell's libertarian beliefs are the reason almost no games are banned from Steam. And this article, you think like, oh, that's great. This article is going to be positive. Like, it's the gamer. Surely they must be thrilled. No, this is a negative thing, of course. This is a problematic thing, you see.
How dare they?
Yes, it's a terrible thing. Because the employee says, I think it's appropriate for companies to take moral and ethical stands, but management did not agree with me. Because you see, Valve, they can be using their platform, Steam. People can make games on it, and they could be insensitive, and they could be like racist and harassing and stuff. And people might not like that, Kyle, and so they shouldn't be allowed to make video games.
I think they have buttons called block if you don't like something. And there's even a feature on Steam if you don't like certain genres, not to look at them. If I don't want to see any, visual novels, I can just press the button right there and bam, visual novels are now gone.
Now, I will also say, Valve's free speech ideology does have its limits, and that limit is primarily surrounding anime, as they have developed what I'm now going to mockingly call the Sargonian position of thinking that all anime is children. That's a joke, by the way, because that's not Sargon's actual position on the matter. I do love the entire lolly debate, because I know Sargon is very exasperated over this, because Sargon himself has never actually said he wants to ban lolly in any way, but his employees are certainly hinting at it.
So Sargon,
and poor Sargon is stuck in the middle, and it's like, I don't know what anime and manga is.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a difficult position, but that means he's going to have some tard wrangling ahead of him.
He is. Because here's the thing. What the Valve's position is basically the same. If it's anime, and it looks like underage, quote unquote, then you can't have it. But if it's 3D, then it's fine. It's a retarded position to hold, but that's why The Last of Us is allowed on Steam, and other games with enormous titted succubuses are not, because they look too childlike.
My brain cells died, but yeah, thank you for... That's true. Like, that is unfortunately the reality, is people just don't understand what the product is, and so instead of researching and asking people what it is that know what it is, they just sort of go like, fuck it, not gonna touch it with 10-foot pole, which, I suppose, but at the same time, it's one of those things where there's definitely a market bias here.
Mm-hmm. So the article goes on to say, even though many games are illegal, they can still push harmful stereotypes and hateful views whilst being sold on Steam. Oh, great. I don't like the video game, therefore Valve shouldn't sell it.
Precisely. Oh fuck! I hate that argumentation so much.
Yes, and thankfully, Valve's position has basically been, no, we're not supposed to really care about that. We're supposed to just release games, and so long as it's not illegal, anything and everything can be released on Steam. That is the official line. Now, they do live up to that 90% of the time, but the remaining 10% should still be harped on about a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. Because it really is, and these platforms, GOG, Steam, even GOG opened up to allow anime and visual novel stuff. And I personally, visual novels and JRPGs do not interest me. However, it doesn't matter what my opinion is on JRPGs or visual novels. It doesn't matter what GOG's staff's opinions are. It is their job to be a platform for developers to sell their product on. It is not their job to police the product.
Mm-hmm. The article also goes on to present a bit of racism, as most left-wing outlets do, by saying that only 10,000 people worldwide have what it takes to work at Valve. It is unlikely many of these will be anything other than white men. Because, as in the gamer's view, brown and black people are just inferior, I guess.
Better I'll go talk to Strato and be like, sorry, you're not allowed to play video games anymore. You're brown. We can't play video games with you.
As you see, Valve does have a diversity and representation problem. It's not diverse and representative enough.
I hate that.
I suppose
so
that's
much.
why it's one of the world's largest gaming companies without even making video games.
That shit pisses me off because I got an argument with a developer from Harebrained Schemes over this, and it's like, no, you don't hire people based on their color of their skin. Like, no, we hire by race. It's like, what about merit though? What if there's a person that's more qualified for the job? Like, we're gonna pick the brown one. It's like, oh fucking Christ.
Mm-hmm. I will also say that the internal structure of Valve sounds absolutely useless too, where they've got no managers, they've just got employees with wheeled desks, and they walk around the office and they join up little groups and like, hey, what if we make whatever?
Artifact, the card game. Oh, I'm sure that'll go well. Collective sigh in the future.
Yeah, because apparently they have no corporate structure, no managers, and no even real planning. People just come together and make up whatever the hell they want to make at the time. Which,
interesting. I mean,
like that explains why Valve has produced so fucking little over the last 2 decades.
Is that how Half-Life Alyx came to be? That turned out to be a surprising gem.
Unironically, probably, yeah. They just went like, hey, what if we made a Half-Life game, but VR? And then they figured out a way to do that.
Yep. They only make Half-Life games to push their engines or their tech. That's it. It seems to be.
Yes. Now, I will say this would be an unsustainable business model for any company that actually needed to make shit.
Okay, yeah. So speaking of making shit, so where do they get their money? I can hear chat asking. Well, they take 30% of any sale or transaction that you have of like a game on Steam or a product on Steam. 30%, which is quite steep. So that is how they can afford to just sort of sit on their haunches and sort of twiddle their thumbs a little.
Speaking of Artifact, by the way.
Oh God, please. What did you post something? Let's take a look. Oh my God, do you remember the announcement for Artifact where everyone just sighed like because they saw Valve like and then like it's Artifact, a card game, and it's like, oh,
a Dota card game. Like,
tragic.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, Valve can afford to be a company where they pay people ridiculous salaries, and apparently sometimes the year-end bonus can be as much as the yearly salary again. And the only reason they can afford to do this is because Valve is Blizzard, but smarter. Whereas Blizzard is doing everything in its power to undermine its reputation and ruin its relationship with its fans by creating piss poor mobile ports. Valve is just sitting on its enormous fucking ass. No insult to you, Gabe, by the way. I know you've been trying to lose the weight. But they're just sitting on their ass and they watch the Counter-Strike money and the Dota money and the Portal money and the Team Fortress money just continue to roll the fuck in endlessly. And then they take a 30% slice from the 1,000+ video games being released on Steam like every day now.
Yep. Like, that new Dead Space remake just came out, and that got a fuck ton of sales. Any shiny new game, like Atomic Heart when it comes out too, and they take a huge chunk of profit. And they didn't develop it. Now, to be fair, they do give access to all the very nice tools that Valve has to offer once the Steam platform, but 30%, in my opinion, is still quite the hefty margin.
Let me put it like this. Valve does a lot more to earn that 30% than YouTube does.
That is true, because Valve gives you access to built-in forums, built-in like discussion boards, built-in workshops which can host your mods, built-in networking for your like multiplayer functionality, built-in achievements, a trading card system to maximize profits for you know, of course. Because it increases sales of some games. You know, they make games just for those stupid fucking Steam trading cards. There are games that are just made just to collect those stupid things. Jesus Christ. But yeah, no, like it has a lot to offer, at least.
Yeah, like Valve is doing amazingly, and I think a large part of the reason why Valve has been in so few controversies compared to everybody else is because they just keep their fucking mouths shut. Like, this is why I bring up this article, because it's in sharp contrast to D&D. D&D got fucking greedy and decided that their billion-dollar pile of money wasn't enough. And so they started making waves, and they started making drama, and they started pissing everyone off, and now they're going to be left with nothing. Meanwhile, Valve is just sitting there, rolling in the cash, and is like, yep, that's all we do. And apparently they also have a very opaque firing process. I think I can explain what the opaque firing process is. If you look like you're going to be rocking the boat, your ass is probably out the door. Because nobody wants to upset a golden goose of this fucking size. Nobody with a brain, anyways.
Mm-hmm. Steam is the platform. There are other ones out there, but it is the platform for like online storefronts for video games.
Mm-hmm.
It is also, I don't know if it's entirely Steam, but it definitely spearheaded the death of the physical boxes, which is a tragedy.
It killed them straight up, which is a bit sad, but you know.
I miss me boxes.
And it's also, whenever Valve has been in some kind of controversy, like the thing they were kind of exploring with Bethesda, the idea of paid paid mods, for example.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was a fucking shitstorm.
Yes, the idea of paid mods. So, in case you little lads there don't know, let's see. This was this the one? I think was this the one or a newer one? I'm not sure, but basically I'll link here. So they tried to launch a project with Bethesda and Skyrim where you could pay for mods. And it was a new way to support workshop content creators, etc. And a lot of people were very skeptical about this, to put it mildly. It was an immediate and vociferous negative response to this.
Yep.
Because nobody liked the idea of having to pay for something that they had access to for free already.
Mm-hmm. Very true. And that's what's funny about this. Like, but it supports the modders. Here's the thing. Modders can open up things called Patreons, things called Subscribestar. And if you choose, like, hey, you know, I really love your mod, I'm going to throw a couple bucks your way. I did that the other day. For the Ruby's Halo modder, gave him about $20 because I really enjoyed his mod and I wanted to support his mod work. And you know what? A couple bucks in there is more than enough to honestly compensate. And that should be up to the players who play those mods on whether they want to, you know, show a little bit of support. And if you really enjoy a mod and you're like, wow, this mod, you're getting thousands of hours out of it, it's just amazing, and throwing a couple $1 dues here and there ain't gonna hurt. But it should not be mandatory. And I think that little modding thing was a little bit too fucking much. Also,
it was done poorly and it was done too soon.
And Bethesda has that integrated into their mod function for their games now, where it's literally a microtransaction store to buy mods.
Yeah, because Bethesda continued with that, whereas Valve, they saw the negative publicity and they fucked the hell off. Like, nope, we're not damaging our image with this. Because the thing is, this is a lose-lose scenario. Because this little image I posted, that little meme thing, right? It illustrates the position perfectly.
Mm.
Somebody makes a enormous fucking expansion level content to the game and uploads it for free, and then you're asked to pay for some fucking random ass minigame. Or just there was this one, the extra apple mod, which adds an apple to a tavern, and I think he sold it for like $200 or something.
Are you fucking serious? Even the texture work on that apple's not very impressive.
Exactly, it's just like extra apple. There you go. Because everyone's taking the piss out of it, and Valve backtracked immediately because they recognized this was a danger to their reputation.
I think he was taking the piss,
Gabe
though.
knew.
Did you read what
Gabe
he wrote?
is, oh, of course it was a joke. Obviously.
It's fucking retarded.
Because Gabe is very savvy when it comes to this. He was quoted once as saying that the internet is an infinitely intelligent hive mind. Because if they post something, then somebody will always come back with like, aha, but you made this post on a tiny, insignificant forum 15 years ago. It was posted at this time, at this date, by an intern named Bob. I was like, well, shit, that undermines their position.
Yep. Because the internet, if you post something on the internet, the odds are the internet remembers it. That's why you should always be careful what you post on the internet. Because that stuff is archived and often stored in places and will be brought up later.
Mm-hmm. But that is also why Valve is such a successful company. They keep their mouths shut. They keep working on what they do. They earn money. They keep their heads down. And that is all they needed to do because nobody wishes to compete with them properly. Again, Origin had the opportunity to really compete with Valve. They had the money. And what they needed to do was simply say, okay, we are offering a purely digital product. We're going to sell it at a digital price, $40. Immediately, they would have gained an enormous market share from Valve, right there, because they are offering digital products at a digital price. They didn't. They're selling them for $60, $70 with no extra advantages whatsoever. So why the fuck would anybody move?
No, there's no reason.
Then came Epic.
Yeah.
I can immediately just hear Kyle beginning to simp.
Actually,
in the
it wasn't
background.
even Epic that actually sparked the Valve improvements to Steam. It was actually the creation of fucking Origin that caused them to start being like, oh crap, we gotta make Steam look good. So they started making it work well and actually be much better than what it was. And then Origin comes out and it's just a fucking disaster.
Here, I'll send you the Epic splash screen so you can simp at it.
No, I refuse.
Even
to
better,
open
I'll
it.
send you the Fortnite one. We know you like it, Kyle. We know you've played Fortnite, you little stinky bug.
Oh, the Fortnite game was such an ass. Like, I do not understand why people like those games. Even getting paid to stream it, it's like, it just made me fall asleep.
He's lying, Chad. He quite enjoys it, actually.
The
He's even
VOD's up.
bought skins.
You can even get to the part where I start dozing off. You're like, you're just running in a direction.
But Epic had a genuine opportunity as well, because I quite like Epic's idea. Like, okay, more games, we're going to offer games for free, we're going to give more access to indie games, and we're going to take a smaller cut so creators can get more, and therefore create more stuff. Brilliant. Fantastic. And then they decided to ruin it with their awful marketing strategy. Exclusives in gaming got them nothing but bad PR, and they doubled down on it and doubled down on it and doubled down on it. Even whilst they were spending hundreds of millions of dollars on that, their fucking site still lacked a shopping cart. Even to this day, the Epic client is bare bones as fuck. It looks ugly. Like when Steam does something, the entire front page is covered in custom graphics. They've got animations, they've got a great layout, they've got recommendations. They're like, hey, we're featuring these games now. Hey, like right now there's a Steam base builder fest ongoing with loads of deals on builder games. It's like, and it looks beautiful. And meanwhile, Epic is just there like, yeah, our background is black.
He's
There's
black
some
and
white lines over there.
there's some pictures of the games we sell. It's like, okay. There might be a scroll bar. It works sometimes.
Like, Epic genuinely elected to not like here. Let me fucking let me see if I can find it.
I can open it if you want me to.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Open the Epic Store to demonstrate.
See, I normally just shut it off if I'm not using it.
Oh, I've long since turned off the auto launcher. Like it doesn't get to live on my PC anymore.
Problem is, if you turn this stupid thing on even once, it starts putting little ads in the bottom right corner of your fucking screen.
I know, which is why I don't allow it to live on my PC.
Also, another thing, chat, is this thing is horribly made. It takes eons to boot up. Like, look at this. Look at this. Look at how long this takes. Like, if I click on GOG, let's start GOG while this is running. I guarantee you, I bet GOG will beat it. Yep, it's done. It's loaded. It's still loading. It's like, oh, I'm almost there. There we go. It still isn't done though. There, it slowly did it. Boop, boop, boop. There. This is Epic Storefront. Take this in for just a second, chat. Admire how long that fucking took. And look at how awful the storefront is. Like, GOG's is kind of It could use some work. Steam's is pretty good. It's like, here's some free games. And then they're like, top sellers, most played, wish listed, most popular. It's like, okay, but like, where's there's a search bar. Like, there's a news tab. And then there's like, here's your quick launch library. It's just not very good. And it also lags every time you do anything. It's terrible.
Yes. Epic's... the reason why Epic never caught on was Epic. Simple as. Like,
yep.
Even after all the money they spent, they have elected to not... Like, they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars on making a Steam competitor, and yet they simply elected to not make the competitor.
Yep. It's why EA and Ubisoft both came crawling back to Steam. Like, we're sorry.
And it's genuinely tragic, because I like their idea. Like, more for the creators. Great. But yeah, this ain't it.
The exclusivity deal was a genuinely bad idea, because it's like, oh, we'll give developers tons of money, and all it does is it tricks developers. Because on paper, from the developer point of view, chat, imagine you're a developer for a video game and you're not really thinking clearly, because you're like, man, we could use some money for the budget of our game, like it's going to be tight. And Epic approaches you, is like, hey, we'll help you, and we'll give you a healthy amount of cash, and you'll definitely be able to develop this game with this. All you gotta do is just do a year exclusive deal. And you're like, okay, like a year early access on Epic exclusive deal, and then we get a huge load of cash to develop the game, and then we can like just sell it on Epic, and we do early access and testing there, and then we can release the game again on Steam. It's a brilliant idea. On paper, it sounds so smart. It's not. It's the worst idea ever. Because the problem is you piss off everyone that was remotely interested in buying your game. And the other issue is, often when the developer gets a huge front load of cash, it doesn't seem to do much. In the case of MechWarrior 5 and its exclusivity deal, what good did that Epic money do them? It did them jack shit. The game is still fucking boring. It barely works. And on top of that, it's so buggy and unfinished, it might as well still be early access. Like, Criminy Crickets is not even the only game that does that either. So there's seriously, like, there's some sort of thing where if a developer gets money right away, like, well, you know, I did get money right away, so I kind of can just, like, I don't know, take a vacation or some stupid shit.
Yes. It was a bad idea all across the bloody board.
Yep.
And that really is as simple as it was.
I think only one game or two games actually pulled off that thing. I don't remember what they were called, where they actually managed to make it work for them. But it seems to be just a loss, honestly.
Valve's strategy of avoiding controversy appears to be the correct one, and we've got another beautiful example of that right here. Where, okay, so the whole Rings of Power controversy, right? People have been saying, oh, it actually did pretty well. It actually did pretty well. Okay, come on. No. No, it didn't. So,
no.
the top 15 streaming programs originals from 2022. The Rings of Power is number 15. 15.
And with all that marketing and with making it free. Mind you, I'd like to point this out, guys. When you clicked, if you have Amazon Prime and you're like me, you clicked on it and you went to open the page, it would auto play. There is enough like people that actually buy into the fact that it auto playing actually counts as a viewership to pump the numbers up higher.
Yes.
Even with that cheating, still didn't fucking work.
Nope. It got outcompeted by Wednesday massively. It got outcompeted by Cobra fucking Kai.
Cobra fucking Kai.
I can't believe Cobra Kai is such a big hit. The worst part is I watched it. It's actually good. Like it's a good bloody TV show. But when the fuck does a Karate Kid spin-off outcompete the fucking Lord of the Rings? It's so insane. It's retarded, but there you are. At least the Rings of Power didn't get beat by well, I guess it's not an original. That might be why. Otherwise, the House of the Dragon might be above it as well. Because I just love the idea that George R.R. Martin has finally defeated Tolkien.
You're a sick man. But the thing is, it's not even George R.R. Martin, because Tolkien didn't make this show. It doesn't work.
That's irrelevant to my enjoyment. It
doesn't work. Like, your narrative is so
on the one hand,
gay.
Tolkien's enormous, made, beautiful world, the universe he spent the best part of his life and soul and experience into creating, versus, and she sat in the wood, and brown water flew from her ass.
Oh, man. I mean, I'm not going to... like, if you like George R. R. Martin books, that's great. But personally,
You were about to say you're not going to shit on it, weren't you?
I'm just going to say it, but I changed the wording because I realized you would say... But you pointed it out anyway, so it's kind of pointless. So I don't even know why I bothered. So I don't want to shit on it, but, you know.
I see some coping in chat there. The Rings of Power is not Lord of the Rings. You have revealed your weakness, sir. I shall hammer it mercilessly.
Now, chat, bear in mind that Arch is a pot stirrer. What he's going to do is pot stir, chat. You have to fight it.
See, that's the thing. This is the thing. Like, I love pointing out things like this. Like, I love pointing out the Halo TV show is canon now. Like, that's Halo now.
Actually, they did say it's not canon in terms of the universe. But not that it matters. Not that it matters because they ruined the setting anyways. So who fucking cares, honestly?
I love pointing out that Rey is canon.
All right, now
I love pointing out that Luke Skywalker fucking killed himself on some backwater fucking planet.
Oh, that hurts me.
It illustrates how just annihilated these settings have become. Okay, like they have been turned to gravel. I love the fact that J.R.R. Tolkien's legacy is now a black elf model who can't emote to save his fucking Puerto Rican life.
He's Puerto Rican? I didn't know that.
I think so. It was so like that. And I like to point it out because it makes people realize that, holy shit, this thing I loved is actually dead now. And you need to start gatekeeping, and you need to retreat into the old thing that you loved. You need to defend it viciously. Because, okay, this is the bubble position, right? They can't ruin the Lord of the Rings. I still have the books. No, they can. Oh, they absolutely can. Because actually, it's the human condition.
You still, like, it's still a valid point because the books are still the books. You can still read them. You have them. They're physical. No, they are. There's too much in circulation. Like, when you have something already, like they can't really take that from you because you already own it. That's why the important part is
Of
owning
course they
physical
can.
copies. They
That's
cannot.
the thing. Even if you have a thing, it will be inherently damaged by the knowledge that there is this other thing that claims to be that thing.
That just
That
means
is not that thing.
That's not necessarily true either, because that just means you have a weak sense of will. Like, you have to actively accept that into your heart as part of the thing you like and care about. I never did that for Stargate
you
Universe.
you just have to know about it. And in the case of Star Wars, for example, every day you're going to see a commercial for Disney Plus with Luke killing himself. Every day you're going to see an ad for Rey on the fucking bus, etc.
Yeah, but the thing is, that
Oh,
still doesn't affect, like, a lot of people that play, like, Republic Commando, it doesn't even bother you. You don't even
Every
think about
day,
it.
Kyle. Every time there's a new Halo game, Kyle, all
See,
you're going to see is Pablo Schreiber's schnauzer
See, Arch is very upset that what happened to
staring
Warhammer
at you.
happened to Warhammer, because GW did this, and because Arch feels sad, he feels the need to try to make everyone else feel sad. I
Sadness
know.
is our only weapon, Kyle.
He's like, I must be sad
Hatred
together.
is a tool. Hatred is a weapon.
No,
chap.
it's a waste of
Use
energy.
it.
No, instead of wasting your time hating these things, go build something new. I expect two of you to make a new Star Wars right now. Chop chop.
That's not. See, that's the thing. That is not a realistic thing.
One of them will succeed.
Unless of them will die. Hatred is the more effective approach.
No,
And hell,
most of them will
even
die.
if you want to
that's
create
right.
something else, hatred is a wonderful motivating factor.
Oh, god damn it. Look at you, little cranky meister.
Nothing motivates quite like despise.
I mean, it's true. Doing hate watch videos makes fucking money. Like, literally being like the guy that's literally sits there and goes like, this is bad. You literally get head pats and money thrown at you. Like, it is low effort, but it works. And you know what? It's created a new market. That's kind of awful.
Hatred is the way. Hatred is the source of all strength and determination. Only with hatred in our hearts can we succeed.
God damn it, Arch. You little shit.
Wield it like a flaming brand iron against our enemies. For they hate us,
They
and
do.
we shall hate them back.
The best thing you can have is apathy towards them. But I definitely agree with milking the shit out of any time they make bad stuff.
See, no, okay, all right. This leads me right on to the next topic here. Right? Okay, here. Tell this man, Kyle. Tell this man who had his creation dragged through the mud and fucked humiliatingly so in front of him. Tell this man to be apathetic.
Well, it's kind of his own fault. He shouldn't have sold the rights. Like, that is his fault. The thing is, when you make something, you choose who you give the rights to if you sell it or you give access to it. The only one you have to blame is yourself. And that's why I fucking hate George Lucas, because he is responsible for why Star Wars is in the state it is in, and will probably never recover.
That's the thing. This guy didn't do this because he hated it. He was like, okay, Netflix comes to you. They offer you 1 trillion head pats.
Yep,
And
but
they're
you
like,
took
we're
the deal.
gonna respect you. We're gonna give you everything. We're gonna make it so great. We're gonna make your creation into a mainstream thing. Millions will see it. And he'll go, oh, that's great. I want people to enjoy the thing I've created. And so he signs. And hell, same with George Lucas as well. Like, oh, I know this person over at Disney, okay? I really know her well, and she promises me that she will do everything in her power to make Star Wars good, and she really knows the canon, okay? What was that person's name, Kyle?
The thing is, if you want to make something, you're going to need some oversight over the project. And you can, quote unquote, trust people like George Lucas did. But let's be real here. George Lucas's judgment of character, I got to say, is pretty bad considering his track record. Like, come on. Like, if you want something to be good, like, the reality is you're going to have to do it yourself. You can't rely on others to do your job for you. So if he wanted to see a film adaptation of his stuff, then he's got to get the ball rolling. You're going to have to do the work. It's simple as. You can't just be lazy and make somebody else do it and then be upset when somebody else fucks it up for you.
The problem is, Kyle, Satan is a persuasive creature, as we have clearly seen.
You must have
And
strength
so
of character to resist.
this poor person, this poor little look at him. Look at his little nose there. He's put on
doesn't-
glasses and stuff.
he doesn't
Like,
look
he knows
upset.
that Westerners are gonna read. He does though. Look at his eyebrow. Look at it. It's orbiting his head at this point.
Like he probably doesn't even care. He's like, ooh, wad of cash, don't give a shit. Takes wad of cash. It's like literally, what was it that creative director of Nier said, Yoko Taro? He's like, I'll make more Nier stuff if they pay me. He
Like, not at all, Kyle. Like, that is such a horrible thing to say. Like, he tells his entire life story here. Like, he talked about how he always loved anime. He always wanted to make it. It was deeply personal to him, and kind of he probably didn't even care.
Well, then the thing is, if he truly cared, then why didn't he make the deal? Like, okay, I'll let you guys make a adaptation of this, but I want like creative control.
This is what we call the Kylian purity spiral.
You can bargain. That's not a purity spiral. Like, you can bargain for how much control you want over your stuff when you make these deals, and just be like, okay, go walk up to somebody like, hey, like, I want to make a thing, and then you get them to compete with each other, and so you make a better deal. But the problem here is he just sort of like, okay, I'll give you full creative control. like why would you do that? I think, honestly, at this point, he's just getting sympathy points. He's like, well, I might as well ride the sympathy wave, because that's going to give you a fuck ton of head pats and money, too. Look, they raped me. Now, give me your money. Give me your... Come on, Arch. You know it to be true.
He even defends it. He's like, sometimes you find good producers in America, too, he says. Like, he's so kind, he even finds value in your kind.
You're trying to guilt me,
even
but I can't.
Americans.
I will not be guilted. I will not.
He's like, even Americans have good sides. Like, he's a saint.
The thing is, there's no such thing as Americans. They're only humans. There's no such thing as Japanese. They're only humans, and humans are
vehemently object this.
What do all humans innately do? They're greedy. They'll lie. They'll tell you what you want to hear. No. I will refuse.
Are you greedy? Do you lie to me a lot? Do you tell me only what I want to hear?
Only a little bit. He's like, yeah, what the fuck?
Kyle looks down. Oh, that's an awful lot of paint at my feet.
Listen, but it's true.
There's a
you
wall
know
behind me.
Like, when you don't know somebody, if you have a friend that's okay, but like George Lucas, if your friend's George Lucas, like, come on, like, real, like, that's not even applicable. You know it, I know it, chat knows it, we all fucking know it.
And even, you know what the worst part is? You know the worst part is, Kyle? They raped his daughter right in front of him. Okay, they raped his child, Kyle, right in front of him. There's even, he says, for the new Netflix live-action adaptation, they sent me a video to review and check. It started with a scene in a casino, which made it very tough for me to continue. I stopped there and only saw the opening scene. It was clearly not Cowboy Bebop. And I realized at that point that if I wasn't involved, it would not be Cowboy Bebop. I felt that maybe I should have done this. I should have done more. Although the value of the original anime is somehow far higher now. This poor man was like, oh, they told me to trust them.
Hold on.
And then they
so
did
I
this.
was right? I only feel vindicated now. You
And he
can't
tried
make
to
me
help.
feel bad.
And he tried to help, but they refused him and continued to hurt him.
Also, chat did point out that he actually doesn't own the rights over this either. Again, if you don't own the rights,
of course he doesn't. He created it. That doesn't it means he owns it. He was working at Sunrise, a company.
Yeah, and you got to understand, when you make something for someone else, you don't own that thing. Like, that's simple.
That's disgusting, Kyle. You vile corporate scum.
That's called capitalism. If I pay an artist for an art piece, and then I use that art piece, they can't go like, I found out he was a fascist. I wouldn't want my art to be. Well, you should have thought about that in the contract.
Chat, dogpile him now.
You were compensated for your time, and for that compensation and that money, I got this cool piece of art. That is how that works. That is simply capitalism. Look at chat. They're having a hard time with this.
Kyle, the American.
That's it. Banning that one particular. He's like, no.
This is the worst part. Okay, this is the pain of Hollywood. This poor little Japanese person had his creation ruined.
I can't feel bad when somebody makes something for somebody else who, is going to do whatever they want with it, and then they decide to shit and piss on it. Well, you can't really get that upset over it because you made that thing and they bought that thing. They can do what they want with the thing they bought. I very much believe that individuals should have rights. If you buy a copy of a video game, you should be able to mod it. You should be able to smash it to pieces if you want. It should not have de novo in it. It's the same mentality. When you buy something, you own it. It's yours now. The ability for somebody to go like, well, I think you can only put it into this Blu-ray player, and I don't think you should be allowed to mod it. Like, there you go. That's the door. That's the door you guys want to open. You can sit there. I'll sit in my capitalism room, and I'll buy stuff, and I'll own it.
I do love how chat is divided on this. Like, half of them is just like, kill Kim, capitalist pig. Chill.
Capitalist.
Chill.
What? I didn't realize we had half of them as communists.
The other part is like, yes, crush that Japanese man's soul beneath your boots.
I don't want his soul to be crushed, but he should know better.
You do, Kyle. You're being okay. No, that's the thing. Okay, this guy's a victim. He is a victim of abuse, Kyle. Systematic, institutionalized abuse, Kyle. Because when he was but a tiny little Japanese boy in his little sailor dress, okay? Skipping down the street, beautifully and lovely, or singing to himself, like traditional Japanese Christmas carols or whatever.
All right.
He wanted to be an animator, Kyle. He'd watched the movies. He'd watched the animation. He was like, wow, it's a magical future. I want to be a part of this thing. And then he came in and he got a job at Sunrise. He was like, wow, I never thought they'd hire me. And he got to work on the project of his dreams, Kyle. And then years later, Hollywood just inserted its enormous, disgusting, spiked phallus into it.
Make sure you retain the rights of the thing you care about. That's all I'm gonna say. Now,
well, no, see,
hold on, chat said something. This is you should have used this argument. I make trains. No, you can't use my trains to run people to the concentration camps. I mean, the guy who made the train should have thought about that.
Choo, motherfucker.
No. That's a good one. I'll give you that.
Right, so we've boiled down Kyle's argument to it is okay to ship people to the concentration camps in trains,
as long as
even
you
if
buy
the person who made the train is like, no, please don't.
Listen, it's the capital. That's the hardline capitalism you said. I mean, they did buy the train, so they're theirs.
And all Kyle would say is he's just going to sit there in the conductor's cabin, like pulling the little string, like choo choo, not my problem, bro.
I mean, the guy who made the train sold the trains to the Nazis, so they're Nazi trains now. That's how this works. Damn it. I do like this conversation. This went in a very unexpected direction.
Little Jewish arms are sticking out of the fucking bars of the cattle wagon. Say, please, no.
Maybe they'll chant, Arbeit make frei. Or just sitting there frowning. I got canceled today.
This is the problem with Kyle.
It was funny. This is probably one of the best ArchCasts in a while in terms of retarded. Listen, chat. Come on, quit being moral fags and just let it happen. They're like, Gabs, I think this is morally incorrect. It's like, fuck your morals. Where's my profits? Oh, god damn it. Goring equals kibs. Well, I became a Nazi today. Interesting.
All I can say is I hope this poor man's fate is something that will be shared by Kib eventually. One day, he will understand.
One day. Oh, fair enough.
And then I was distracted by something stupid.
I'm too busy reading chat. They've got some fucking real golden gems in there. Oh, the little chat is happy. But chat, you still get my point, though. I'm still right. It doesn't matter. If you make something for somebody, like if I make trains for Hitler and then he starts using them to fucking transport people to places, I can't be upset by the fact that he used the things I made. It's like the guys that make bullets, you know? Like, you're just giving them bullets, you know what you're doing, and yet you still do it. My argumentation is solid, chat. Solid as stone.
And that way, we've managed to get ourselves all the way back to the beginning, with the poor artist being violated, the person who came into the setting, into the business, full of hopes and dreams, expecting daffodils and bright colors and loveliness and friendliness, and being allowed to create the things he loves, leaves with a shattered spine and a broken butthole.
Yep, he had a bit of what we call a reality check. We all get those. Like when I entered the industry, I was like, I'm gonna make video games. It's gonna be fun. It'll be an epic adventure. And then I realized everyone just sort of cutthroat. I'm like, oh, okay. Right. Never, ever, ever, ever give anyone your idea without an NDA. That's the best advice I can impart to anyone. Contracts are important.
Now that we have allowed Kyle to display his ridiculous bigoted notions, we can do super chats.
Fair enough.
I remember I once had a dream to keep all of these under an hour.
Oh, that was funny. I remember when you told me that. I'm like, it's not gonna happen. He's like, yeah, but we can try. So it'd be around the ballpark. And it's like, no, no, it never makes it there.
Oh, and Ian says, if Velma did anything good, it caused a resurgency in people wanting to watch Mystery Inc. More people are reacting to all the Scooby-Doo shows. I actually saw a nice little joke spin-off cartoon some people had made about Scooby-Doo, where all of the Scooby-Doo people have, grown up now. But it turns out that all of the mysteries had dried up, and now they're all just really crazy. And Shaggy is in the back of the bus talking to Scooby. And he's like, please, Scooby, to say something. Let them understand. Say something so they know you speak. And he's like, I am not here to talk to them, Shaggy. You are the one who will introduce the wheel of blood to the world. You are the one who will destroy the sun. I am here to speak to you, Shaggy. And he just screams.
I remember that. There's some really fucked up things. I do like how people consider Shaggy power level to be insane. Like he's like a god when he wants to be.
That's because of the subtle little hints they drop in the show where Shaggy does impossible shit constantly.
Yep. They even have one of the later Scooby-Doos. He basically single-handedly wipes out a bar of people.
But you have not seen horrors, Kyle. You have not. Not until you watch Velma. Then you will see actual horrors for horror's sake.
That's okay. They turned Shaggy into a fucking cock in that, apparently. And he's black, too. Just to really,
He's technically not Shaggy. He's just Shaggy. He's Shaggy, but he's not Shaggy.
He's like... Yeah, the thing about Shaggy has that, dopiness to him.
Yeah.
Because he's doped
And that's
up.
what that guy is. But he's not Shaggy.
Mm-hmm.
Ian Brune says, yay, I want to catch you live for a couple things. I recently rewatched The War for Badab, and unless I missed a video somewhere, we are still waiting for the Huron Blackheart video. You'll have to wait many years. Many years, indeed. He also says, and to add self-promotion to content demand, I've been trying to build up a shop on Etsy selling printed minis in terrain. Murphic Industries is the name only commies don't buy, like Dev, who hasn't. Well, good luck with that. You are going to need it.
Mm-hmm.
Even Kyle has an Etsy shop where he sells his favorite brand of dildos.
Mm-hmm. We have, what was it?
He said yes.
We're on our way to 20 products. Slowly getting there. Does take a lot of work, though. And never give up until you need to and then die. Then, give up then.
Never give up until you die. It's very poor advice, Kyle. You're even the one who told me that story about the one person who released his indie game and it flopped and he lost his wife and children and pet dog and everything.
His house. Everything. And then the game
and then there you are. It's like, never give up. But I'm about to lose everything.
I'm
going.
kidding. But no,
then you're not done yet.
That's why in the previous stream I said there comes a point when you should ask yourself, maybe I should rethink some things. Maybe not just the approach, but maybe this isn't the thing you want to really be doing. Don't kill yourself. Because unfortunately...
Point of view from the bottom of the crater looks up.
Well,
Maybe I should stop. Keep digging.
That's true. I mean, of all the indies I know that started, I'm the last one left. Gotta be careful, chat. Bad stuff out there. Be
Mark
adaptable.
Shane donates a very generous $50. Thank you very much, sir. To say, Arch, on your video, a warband from Iron Warriors did virus bomb Katachan, but the Chaos Lord was killed after planetfall when called Strachan, who was hiding under the sludge, strangled him with a poisonous root. So many unanswered questions, but details. I knew Katachan would literally just eat the virus. Because it's what it does. It's just what the planet does. Also, I accidentally Googled Velma now because I was like, it'll bring up some stupid pictures from the show. Nah, it's just a lot of pictures of white women and dogs. It's a bit weird.
Oh. Gross.
I don't even understand why, Kyle.
It's fucking horrifying. I don't know either. Actually, you know what? I have a theory, but I don't want to say it. So let's just keep going.
Reaper Null says, one of D&D's problems is lack of innovation and stagnation, whereas Pathfinder has been pumping out interesting advancements in their setting. In 10 years, D&D released 30 books and Pathfinder had 100. Yeah, no, that's nothing to complacency. And the fact that D&D's primary goal hasn't been to innovate, it has been to standardize and to open up D&D to as many brain-dead muffin eaters as humanly possible. That's why every page now has diversity on it. That's why the warrior model is some dude from Africa. And you're like, wow, how did you get here? I swam.
I mean, honest.
That's why the rules are more simplistic. That's why the dice rolls are more simplistic. I mean, granted, the old Thwacko system was kind of retarded, but at least it was a system.
Yep.
A Lord of the Opossum says, hi, Arch. Hello, possums. And Zephyr sends a peach, pear, apple, I don't know, fruit, vegetable.
If it's
vegetable.
got like two cheeks, it's a peach.
No.
It's not a peach. Is it eggplant? Okay. Eggplant's
It's
not
doing a
combo.
fist bump. Thank you. Dustin the Grim says, apologies for last week's Blood Bowl chat. I didn't know about the BB games. They look interesting. May give them a try. Kyle, did you yell at someone again?
What? We didn't yell at anyone for Blood Bowl. Was he talking about Blood Bowl 3? I'm confused.
Wow.
I wish you'd elaborate. Just at me or at Bjorch. I'll see you. I'll keep an eye on chat.
Blood Bowl 3 is a perfectly balanced video game. It unironically is. Everyone has the exact same dice. Huh? Artemis Fowl says, it will, Kyle. That was obvious.
I have no idea what that's in context. It will what? What, Buckamish? He's like, Buckamish. Look at him. He's just mad. Cranky. He's just silent, too.
Andrew Jackson says, I don't think modders are allowed to receive money for modding Paradox games. Well, that's because Paradox believes that they own everything, including what is inside the modders' brains. I'm sure Paradox will find a way to monetize mods eventually.
They're
So they
working
get
on
most
it.
of the money.
How can we profit from this? I mean, in a way, they sort of have, because for some of those mods, you require other mechanics. That's why they lock mechanics into DLC sometimes. That way, you have to get the DLC for some of them. I don't know if they still do that, actually. They might have changed that to the free update policy. I don't remember. Big dinkies.
Never assume Paradox does anything for the right reasons.
They never do. They are greedy as fuck. Oh, worst of all, they also announced the new Age of Wonders 4 chat, and that's going to be by Paradox. So you know they're going to milk the ever-living shit out of that. Oh, curses.
Paradox has fallen far. Yet tragically have not broken their backs upon landing. Oh well, we can hope. Shout out to Yang Yang says, have you read the book Brutal Cunning? And if so, do what is your impression of it? If so, what do? Sadly, I have not read it, no, so I cannot comment. But for every comment I cannot answer like that, let's see, what would be decent repayment? Yes, Kyle will have to play another hour of Forsaken.
Already uninstalled it. Not happening. That was boring.
See, the worst part is like, okay, they take the concept of isekai, which surely you can't make isekai boring, right? It's just a power fantasy where you fuck hot elves. Like you can't make that bad, and yet they managed to make it boring.
I mean, you make everyone in the world ugly as sin and non-fuckable. That's definitely a step that they took. The boring gameplay. It's click button. And like, wow, you can have 50 enemies on screen. It's like, bitch, please. We had games from like the PS2 era where you could have more enemies on screen than fucking 50. And even then, that doesn't even count for much considering all they do is waddle around the screen. They don't even barely attack you. The gameplay is horrendous. The dialogue is pretty bad. I don't know how much of you've seen Arch, but it was very vomitacious. I think Arch is dead. He's pondering.
I definitely think you could play a bit more of it, though.
No, I milked it for what money I could squeeze out of it.
Listen, you're already simping for that Dead Space game, which has trigger warnings in it. Okay,
it does. That's not the only thing it has. It has non-binary signs on the bathrooms too, and that's not it. There,
it does.
Yes, it does. They turned the bad female lead girl into a lesbian for some reason, and I'm like, okay, so you turned they have non-binary. Oh God, what's in my mouth? Is that fucking hair? Sorry. Just fucking started joking. Oh my God. So they turned that into non-binary bathrooms. It's like, okay, so you're telling me that everybody died horribly on the spaceship, and you're also saying that unitology is woke, and they're a cult, and they're evil, and everything about them is horrific, and they need to be wiped out. So you're sending me mixed messages, devs. Either you're incredibly stupid, or you're incredibly based. It's like, so lesbians are basically Satan. It's a weird thing to do.
I also saw some excerpts on Twitter that they had scrolled like capitalism is bad on the walls or something.
I'm trying to find that, but whoever's in charge of the scrawls on the wall, they don't say anything interesting. It's written by, I swear to God, like some intern. Because they all have the same handwriting. Like it's very clearly a girl's handwriting, and it's not very interesting. It's like, why is this happening? It's like, because we were chosen. It's like, what? Like that's like how you write scrawls on the wall or text on the wall. Left 4 Dead, where they're calling each other idiots and morons as different people pass through. That was how you do it. But yeah, no, it wasn't very well written. The game is fantastically done and actually does a lot of things well. And fortunately, the good outweighs the bad, considering the very well-received nature of it. Everyone that likes Dead Space is enjoying the shit out of it. It's just there are some minor things that are just, they make you go, why? Like, why, though? Like, literally, why?
Well, as Carl continues to simp, Sledimus then begins to try to stir the pot by saying, I didn't mind Rings of Power. I like that it explained the origins of Mount Doom. Sledimus, you are bad at this.
You're trying way too hard. I think he does that intentionally. Way too hard. So we can just point it out. Maybe he likes that. He likes being pointed out.
Carl Skirata says, without respect, we reject. Thus is the gospel of Overlord Dictor van Doomcock. Stay angry. Correct. Hatred is the weapon that must be used. One must ignore the simps, like Kyle, who says that you should not be angry and should simply accept being exposed and abused by the capitalist system. No.
Hold on a second. You're putting words there. Mr. Big Government, I don't want to hear that. The government should regulate the
big government will suppress people like you, and it'll make the world better.
There's a reason why people realize Kibbs is the based one and Arch is the cringe one. It takes them time, but they all come around eventually.
Beneath the boot, you cannot harm us all.
Beneath the boot is Arch's shield. Like a turtle.
Job 70 says, get out the Halo engine. It's time for Star Wars. Won't they make another Star Wars strategy game in space, Kyle?
I would like there to be another Star Wars Empire War, but this time, like, actually go balls to the wall. Remember I showed that mod to you? It looked pretty cool. Petroglyph still supports it, but I don't know if there's going to be any movement for a new Star Wars RTS game. Honestly, the Star Wars video gaming scene has kind of been pretty fucking awful for the last decade. No
Don't
good
worry,
games.
we're getting another Jedi Academy game.
Worst part is the Star Wars video game scene's also been bad for a decade, and for about half a decade now, or we're almost going on a decade, the Warhammer video game scene's also gotten bad. I don't know what it is with companies, but they just aren't doing very good jobs of adapting these universes anymore. And it seems to be almost universal. Like you'll occasionally get like the one decent one, like the Aliens shooter, which was mildly entertaining, mildly, mind you. But it seems like a lot of people are just dropping the ball. It's kind of annoying.
But Kyle, that dude from the new Star Wars shows is the Kyle Katarn of our generation.
It's not a show and it's a video game. It's the Fallen Order game. At least get it right. Artemis is trying to bait me into being upset, but I'm not that upset because he said
that ginger, he's the Kyle Katarn of our generation.
Kyle Katarn, for context, chat, is basically the Rambo of the Star Wars universe. And there's a post trending where it's like, remember Kyle Katarn? It's like, well, they post a picture of Fallen Order, with the generic fucking loser on the cover art. It's like, this is this generation's Kyle Katarn. A loser. Mm-hmm. Terrible.
He's the Kyle Katarn of your generation, Kyle.
You're the Barch of our generation. He's like, nah.
Yes. Oh, Kyle Kestis was so sad. I didn't like him. He was a bad person.
Hey, don't get mad at me, chat. Aliens Fireteam was fun, and I do recommend it, but it needed a lot more stuff. Still better than most
Troy
adaptations.
Neenan says, you can play Call of Cthulhu, Arch. Stream it. Dev.
Isn't that an old game? Like 2007 or something? Or 2006?
V has tried to get me to try and play the Call of Cthulhu RPG, and I have repeatedly told him that he should live in a barrel by the sea.
I don't think you think Call of Cthulhu is that scary, so you probably just aren't interested in the setting.
Yeah, I'm just not that interested in setting. Like, I've never been a fan of Cthulhu. Because Cthulhu rests entirely on the unseen being the unseen. It rests on your mind doing the work of the horror and puts in very little effort itself. I am more of a Bram Stoker Dracula type of horror person. I don't mind a slow build-up. I certainly don't mind some suspense or some silent evils, shit like that. But Cthulhu is just like, hey, there was a tentacle. It was really fucking spooky, and everyone went crazy.
Like, oh my god, it's so scary that we can't comprehend it. Then proceeds to describe the horror. It's like, you said it was indescribable. I'm describing it now to you. It's like, oh, okay.
The Cthulian style of horror just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I find it super lame. It's like, it's just tentacles. And honestly, tentacles are fucking boring. They just wiggle in the
And the problem is, it doesn't tell you anything. It's like, it shows you a giant monster. I'm like, okay, cool. What's the backstory of that giant monster thing? The backstory is that it's unknowable. Uh-huh.
I feel like this is just lazy writing. It's like, dude, what's the background for how these things can be? Can't tell you. It's like, okay.
The cosmos. You wouldn't understand.
Your brain cannot conceive of the horrors I've seen. I'm sure.
Amak Uno becomes a member. Good. Membership grows. The membership people are worth more than other people. Just point that out. They're not going to be on the trains that Kyle has leased to Nazi Germany.
That's true. The rest of you gray boys get on. I'm like,
Where are we going, sir? An amusement park in Poland.
You'll make Barch's money one way or the other.
Setting soap. Germ70 says, Adam Smith thinks modern copyright is cringe. See, copyright is cringe when it's abused. The problem is it's almost only abused these days.
Yeah, copyright's important, especially if you're making an IP, so you can protect it. But at the same time, it also is a tool that a lot of companies can, and you can use, to bludgeon people with. Because that's unfortunately how it's also turned out. Because originally it was meant to protect creators, but now it's become a little bit too messy. It needs to be cleaned up. Not destroyed, cleaned up, refined, polished. But nobody's going to do that. And if they do it, it's going to be a disaster some way, somehow. You just know it. I just know it. You know it too.
No, I'm optimistic.
No, you're not, Mr. Salt. Mr. Salt upon salt. Oh, you're the saltiest one of both of us.
Incorrect.
That's my streams say otherwise. That's just because
I
it's
know better.
enlisted.
I know this will work out well.
That's gonna change tonight in Morno, isn't
Copyright needs reforming. That's what it needs, because it is frankly not. It's not made to deal with the problems we have today. That's the issue. It was made to deal with mostly physical nonsense. It's like, okay, well, can you copyright this? Yeah, sure. Can you copyright this vague concept? Maybe. Can I copyright this fucking mouse thing for 52 fucking years? Can you? I have an army of lawyers that says so.
it? Don't enough money on the table, and anyone will say anything. Sadly.
Yes, copyright needs to be changed and reworked. It needs to be far more limited in its protective time nature than it is now. Like, a lifetime of artist, I think, is entirely fine, and then a period after that for adjustment. So as you just, in case the guy gets hit by a fucking truck, it doesn't become copyright free the next day or anything.
Yep.
But it certainly should not be like Disney's current system, where it's like, yeah, we own this forever now.
Yep. Like, for instance, like, let's say Reeford in chat makes a game or something. And if he dies, obviously it should, the copyright will be held by the company or whatever he decides to for X amount of date. But at some point, like a 50-year threshold or something, it should become public domain, because the person that made it and the people affected by the direct production of that thing are gone. They profited from it and they passed on. Now it's just people that had nothing to do with it, basically milking somebody's work, basically milking a dead man's work, which is just awful.
There's a bit of the problem. It needs a rework for the digital age.
Mm-hmm.
Gigara says Valve is solely responsible for turning Linux into a viable gaming platform. Viable. And the reason I exclusively play with Ubuntu, it surely was a money sink. Yeah, I mean, they've done some good things. Some good things. But you should come over here and be slaves of Microsoft like everybody else, because if I have to be unhappy, you have to be unhappy too. It's true.
Is it?
It is actually true.
You had to say it's true? Is it really true? See, I'm surprised you never said that. He'll say it now, chat. He could copy me, because I didn't copyright it.
But the Possum says, Kyle once again attacks a poor Japanese man. He does that a bit too much, doesn't he?
They're smaller in stature, therefore I can attack them with ease.
I don't know about that. You don't know how fat he might be. He could be larger than you.
You will try.
He might succeed. You don't know.
Totally possible.
Troy Neenan says, Fleabag writes Laura Croft. Coughed for Amazon. Fleabag writes Laura Croft for Amazon. Kyle, translate.
I have no idea. Fleabag's what? What?
I'm not sure either.
I have no idea. Maybe he typoed. Maybe he typoed hard.
Fleabag writes Laura Croft for Amazon.
Fleabag writes Laura Croft for Amazon. Somebody named Fleabag or writes the Lara Croft thing. Translation: dumb actress writing new Lara Croft. Oh, it's an actress's name. Okay, thank you for translating that.
I was trying to figure that out. Loaded the Possum says, Little Fairman watching Kibbs drive the train. Oh, God. Will he survive another genocide?
Not this
I
time.
know Fairman has it in him to get through another one.
You can only survive one at a time.
Joining also says, Arch play Call of Cthulhu as a German debutante that speaks French. That has porn in it. I don't know if I like that. The only debutante here is Kyle.
You're a debutante. He said so.
I don't even know what debutante means.
Basically a whore.
Not quite.
That's what I said basically.
Convincing Reality says, Arch, how much do you love the Desolation Marines? Are those the new ones that kind of look like that dude from the Toy Story series?
What? What dude?
Oh, they
You mean
do.
Buzz
Yes,
Lightyear?
they've got those big stupid guns that look like net launchers for some reason. Like they look like they're out to hunt like little animals and put them in cages and pet them to death or something. I don't like them. I don't like their weapons. They look stupid.
What is GW's art direction besides copying StarCraft and like random sci-fi IPs?
All right, here. I'll send you the first picture I got up of them. So these guys, right? So they're Primaris Marines, which means yuck, okay. But look at their guns. Look at their fucking guns. Like that feel like that's some kind of net launcher.
That's a
isn't
net
it?
launcher. Definitely a net launcher. It's just too much stuff. Oh no. There's, you know what's starting to happen here? You can see it creep in. Over design.
Like the amount of pointless weird shit. Like you've got a net launcher on top, then you've got like a little like grenade launcher, a rocket launcher on their bottom, I guess, and then you've got the dude in the middle, or the sergeant with the red helmet, because he's a sergeant, because he's not a marine, he's bolted what looks like a fucking like giant AT launcher to the side of his gun for some reason.
Looks like a toe for some reason, like a toe launcher.
Yeah, and it's just kind of mounted on there, like yeah, this'll fit.
Like this looks comical. Like it does not look good. Like the problem with the Primaris Marines too is they suffer over design as well. Random jaded edges and doodads because we got
too many rounded edges. That's my problem because they're not supposed to be this rounded. They're all tactical and undistinct.
Remember, Chad, anyone who buys Warhammer stuff to this day is part of the problem because they are actively supporting wokest SJWs. Now, don't point back at that later. I'm attempting to bait somebody in chat, okay? Like, it's fair for me to do this.
They've got little ammo feed container systems. What is that ammo system feeding?
I don't know.
Is it feeding the net launchers? Is it feeding the little rockets underneath the gun? How does it feed them? Like it's got multiple launchers. Does it have a rotating launcher inside of the thing?
Yeah, what is the fucking thing? Like, why is there a little rotating thing at the bottom, and then there's these little fucking things at the top? Like what does the rotating thing shoot?
Does it fire one at the time and then spins to the next chamber? If so, why? Does it fire so fast it needs to be cooled down?
It's like switch to the top thing. Switch to the top. I don't know.
What does the top thing do? Is it a rocket launcher? Is it actually a net launcher?
I'm not entirely sure. Entirely. I don't like it. I don't know why, but the circle bit on the bottom looks stupid, and the big bit at the top with the other bits looks also stupid.
It looks just dumb. That's the problems.
Let's see. Did we in the chat say what it is? Dumb. They probably thought it was down. It looks more like a Gatling gun underneath, crack frag missiles. So they have
crack.
That's a missile launcher at the
tiny ass
top.
Fucking. Those are some tiny ass fucking missiles, considering those things used to be shoulder launchers. You know what we need to do, Kyle? We need to go back to this thing. Okay? That's what we need to return to.
Return to Minky?
Sort of. Do you not recognize that, Kyle? Do you not recognize Kyle?
Actually, no, I don't. What is this?
Oh my God, Kyle.
Don't be mad at me.
You. I am mad at you.
You can't do this to me. I don't know what it is. What is it? I don't even think I know what this is. I don't think I've ever seen this in my life.
You recognize this. You recognize this, chat. Do not fucking tell me. Chat, you know what this is.
Hold on,
give them a second to catch up.
wait. Because if chat sides with me, you're dumb and stupid.
There you go. See, at least one person knows it.
No, Blake just says that. He's literally lying. He's lying.
No, he named. Look at them. They're all naming it now.
Oh no, is that the thing where the square comes out of that girl's belly? Listen, I watched that.
It's a rectangle, but yes.
When I watched The Fifth Element as a kid, I think I was only like 4 or 3 years old. Like my dad was watching it, and I was very young, and I didn't understand what it was. I just remember being 3 years old, and there was like a square that came out of somebody's belly. And as a child, I looked at my belly, I was like, no, there's a square in there. I actually thought it was a square. For about a year, mind you. That's not fair. So technically, I have seen it. I just didn't know. Okay, because I was 4 years old. You gotta leave me alone. 4 or 3. I don't remember. This is ancient. Jesus Christ. Barch, what the fuck? You can't do this to me. Chat, shut the fuck up. I like how they're still saying Fifth Element after everyone said Fifth Element like 30 times. It's like, you'd think they would all be like, Fifth Element, like, and the rest would be like, but they, I mean, it drives up interaction, so, head pats are due. The fact that everyone knew it is what makes me the saddest, honestly. And you think you can just be quiet to make me feel bad, I see how it is. That's the silent treatment. It's not gonna work this time.
Oh, it will. Now,
I knew you had to break it.
Now that you've broken his little balls, because he deserves it. Like, that gun right there, I actually really fucking love the design of the Fifth Element gun, because when it's all closed up, it just looks like an egg. And I remember the scene where the retarded aliens, like, bashing it and beating it, like, stupid space orc, no understand egg gun.
God damn it. I'm going to watch Fifth Element now. Then you can shut up.
It's a really, really good fucking movie.
It has the guy from the Die Hard movies. See, I didn't see Die Hard until like a year ago, and people were yelling at me and attacking me. It's pretty bad.
As they should. You didn't even watch Demolition Man. Like, you're fucking tard.
We're catching up. We're catching up. Fine.
And you
next.
shouldn't watch any of this until we're ready to do that secret review show that we can't speak about.
What do you mean? I've already announced the series on my channel because we're doing it 2 places.
Kyle, lawsuit.
Lawsuit? Listen, I had to tell chat what their money was going to.
No.
Okay, listen, they don't know about the other part of the secret series. They only know half of it.
Now you've told them, haven't you?
No, I haven't told them the other
I
half.
loved the part where the guy was like, I'm going to have them kill themselves. But how will you manage that, sir? It'll just a question of time until they find the giant red button and one of them decides to press it. Oh, the Fifth Element was really cool. But I really like the gun design because, frankly, it looks like it would be semi-comfortable to carry. It's big, it's bulky, but it looks decently balanced. Got a center line. It carries all the weapons you could possibly ever fucking need in one gun. Like, it's got a dart launcher, it's got a minigun, it's got a fucking AT rocket, it's got fucking electro weapons. It has literally everything, and it's such a... I love the design because I've never seen anything like that ever since or before.
A multi-tool gun? I mean, they'd had that in Dread. He had a multi-tool pistol that could do a couple things.
Yeah, but not like that. Dread's multi-tool gun is just like high X, then it's just blip, blip, blip. It's like that gun doesn't contain high explosives. Incendiary, blip, blip, blip. It doesn't contain that either. Rapid fire, blip, blip, blip. No, I can't do that. It's too small.
Listen, it's magic. It's magic. You're not allowed. I can hear you breaking there. Sadness. It literally couldn't. You're right. Like, it is too tiny. That's how Mass Effect was able to get away with the lore with their guns.
I quite like the Fifth Element gun. I think I'm going to have to rip it off somehow.
Because they were like, we put a brick of metal in our gun, and then it shoots that for like 30 years. Little slivers of it.
Because the Fifth Element gun is cool, and I'm going to have to steal it. I don't know how yet, but I'll figure out a way.
I can see Arch opening up fucking, like, the snippy clippy tool on his computer. He just like crops it out, like crops it under his logos. It's mine now. So
Spartan Killer 456 says Venture Bros Scooby-Doo. Yes. And the benefit is, even if I put that gun just straight in the super secret project, Kyle, people wouldn't even be angry at me. They would be just like, oh, that's no homage to that game. Video, TV show, series.
I was waiting for you to correct yourself.
I don't even know.
Well, the thing is,
they wouldn't even be angry. They would just be like, ah, good. Because this is what GW used to do. They used to have homages to other fucking things.
Yep, because
and then they started suing people for having homages to their things.
Yep. See that when you make a setting and you're making a universe, it's okay to have an homage from another setting, and then you pay respects to it. You tilt you do the nod. You can even do the nod in the writing too. And people are like, "Oh, that's cool that they did that." But if you do it if you don't do the tilt and you take that thing and you put it in your setting, and then all of a sudden it's like, "This is mine. I came up with this, and I'm gonna sue you." It's like, that's not an homage. That's not respectful. That's just an asshole. Now you're just a prick.
Hello. Kyle.
Hmm.
They sell those guns in airsoft variants.
What are you talking about, you little whore? He's like, I'm not little, big whore. Oh my god, that guy's fingies are all wriggly. Yeah, wrinklies.
Spartan Killer 456 says Venture Bros Scooby-Doo. Wait, I'm seeing things. Inquisitor Tom was definitely not scared. It says, on Katachan, if you don't know how to use a combat knife by your 3rd birthday, you might not live to your 4th. In fact, they'll put you outside specifically to be eaten. And to be fair, you probably deserved it at that point.
Kinda had it coming.
Rangi says, I can believe the Cowboy Bebop creator might have genuinely believed they would try to honor his work. Hollywood has a talent for talking people into selling their soul and manipulating people. Correct. Which is why Kyle's uncharitable take on the situation is so thoroughly heinous.
No, see, that would only be applicable because up until that point, like, they already had established the fact that they do that. We have decades of proof to show they've been doing that. And so you kind of have to be able to, like, look at the situation like, what happened to all the other adaptations? Oh, they got fucking ruined. Maybe I should be cautious. Thing is, you gotta be cautious about your stuff if you truly care about it. You have to. You can't just hand it to some stranger. Like, I'll make a movie out of that, and then you get it and like, you didn't really make a movie out of it. You used my name to basically push your own cringy fanfic, basically, which often happens. That's literally the Halo TV show in a nutshell, by the way. It's true. You know it. I know it. We all know it. Don't fight it, Arch.
The Grizzly says DCC is the way to go. Forsake Wizards of the Coast and their bad ways. What is DCC, Kyle?
Donald Chicken Canneries. I have no idea.
Dungeon Crawl Classic. Oh,
what is that? Translate
for
it.
Foundry Virtual Tabletop. So it's a rule set of some sort. Well, that's mildly cute.
It's just cute. That's good. That's a win.
I mean, that doesn't look awful.
I mean, this is the highest of praise when you put it that way. It didn't look terrible. I mean, I guess.
Sedikai says people are giving Paizo way too much credit. They complain about orcs being black people, yet name their system Orc. Oh yes, Paizo are woke little fucktards. Absolutely, no doubt about it. They're a stupid company. And they should be shamed and named for it. But at least they're not Wizards of the Coast. You know? One fish at a time. Kill wizards, then we can destroy Paizo when they start doing something equally stupid.
Yep, it's basically a line, chat. One at a time.
Critical Orc Theory says, of course there are female space marines. Humans do need to breed to multiply. They probably keep the shiny girls to birth more shiny boys. Well, at least if they treated them like the Skaven do their females, we'd have something to show the feminists. Yes.
I see.
Carl Scarata says Petroglyph needs help from EAW modding scene to make EAW2 good. Words. If they collab with AOTR, Remake, and Expanded Mod Team, they can't go wrong. Kip, you're the simp for this particular setting.
AOTR
Explain these.
series. Age of No T. He's talking about some stuff, but you got to be careful when you use acronyms. Overusing acronyms, because the problem is there's many things that are similar, and so you just sort of mixed up. It might be a modder group. I'm not entirely sure. If EA and Petroglyph work together, undoubtedly they could probably produce something of interest. The thing is, Petroglyph, if given money, can actually make things actually pretty decent or pretty good. Like the CNC remake was actually very well done. If you give Petroglyph money and you give them another studio to help them because they're a little bit retarded and they need help. But it's possible for a Star Wars RTS to be made again. It would require EA, and it would require Petroglyph, and it would definitely require Disney to sign off on it, though. But good luck. Barch, what are you doing? Quit picking your nose.
Petty Flanta Missionary says the Call of Cthulhu TRPG is a lot more than focusing on Big C himself. I like the rule set myself. Maybe it's good, but I have judgmental opinions. There you go.
Elaborate.
No. Mark Sam says copyright. Why make something when you can own it? True, that's the Kylian question, isn't it? Like,
What?
why make something if you can't abuse it?
That's
Disgusting. Capitalism.
It doesn't quite make sense. Like if you make something,
Mark
you
James also
own
says,
it.
fun fact, classified documents isn't as protected as long as copyright IP is by copyright law. Classified documents is barely protected, in fact.
Yeah, we did talk about Empire at War earlier. I'm just reading chat. I'm looking for somebody to clarify a bit more. But I'm not seeing it. Yeah, we know it's Empire at War. I was just wondering what the AOT was. I don't remember what AOT stands for. Attack of... No. I don't know. Keep going.
Coffee the Strange says, another reason why Lovecraft genre won't go awake, Wokelings can't help themselves and have to over-explain everything, thus making it not Lovecraftian. There was that one thing where they disavowed H.P. Lovecraft in the first page. His cat was named, can't say that word on YouTube. Literally, that was his cat's name. And thus, he was evil. And we're going to use his setting and monetize it, but we don't like him very much.
Oh, so wasn't it his dad's cat? Which is funny.
Yeah, something like that.
Like, his dad's the one who named the cat that, but for some reason it's like, therefore he did it. Like, it's so funny that they don't even bother looking at it. Attack on Titan? Attack on Taiwan? I don't think it's Attack on Titan. That doesn't really make sense to Star Wars.
It could be Attack on Taiwan.
AOTR, Awakening of the Rebellion mod. Never played it. The best mods I played was Thrawn's Revenge. I showed it to Arch, and Arch was like, is this... Like, he even did a double take, I remember. He's like, is this Empire War? Like, he wasn't quite sure. The modders did an incredible job. It looks absolutely spectacular. It looks like a new game. Problem is, it's on an old engine and runs like potato when you get to the bigger battles. Very potato. All right, we figured it out. Carry on.
The Sugar Daddy says, according to Kyle, it isn't genocide if you're profiting from it. That is indeed Kyle's position.
It's capitalism then. It stops being genocide. Capitalism side. Capicide.
Convincing Reality explains, it's a rocket launcher with an underslung belt-fed missile launcher. Of course it is.
That's...
There you go. We heard you like rockets, so we put some rockets on your rockets.
You know, as much as it, like, if you listen to the description, that sounds pretty fucking metal. But at the same time, it's also really fucking stupid looking.
It is.
A belt-fed rocket launcher. Like, that's kind of interesting.
Dragon of Dragon says, Arch, have you heard of 140k versus Star Wars fan story by a fan with too much time on YouTube? It's very good. It is very respectful to the old lore. I have heard of it. I haven't watched it because I don't have time to do anything these days other than play with myself and do other stupid things. I barely watch any YouTube anymore, which is a genuine issue.
Yep. It happens to both sides. Like, the only people I look at is either Arch or somebody I know. And then occasionally I put something on the background while I'm cooking. That's it. Time is precious. True.
Sword on the Lich says, the movie was The Passion of Christ, Kib.
Okay.
Well, it could have been. Who knows? It might have been. The Passion of the Christ. Pink. And beautiful. I don't know about that. I feel like the Passion of the Christ was such a goddamn controversial movie when it first came out. Because there was like, what, there's blood in this. That's awful. How can there be blood in a movie? Like, that was the worst we had to worry about back then. Hey.
Yep. Yeah, it was. Well, was it? I don't remember. I remember there's a lot of blood. I remember there's a meme from the filming of that where you got Mel Gibson next to the actor and he's covered in blood and he's like, you know, talking to him.
Yep.
But it's that always trends. Never seen it myself, though.
Kimani Joseph says, quick Warhammer Fantasy question. Says I managed to catch a stream. What's your opinion on the new law for Cathay from the last Total War game? Don't think I ever heard your opinion. I don't think it's very good. I think it's far too utopian for 40k. Like, this place, first of all, it's ruled over by an actual dragon emperor. Like, I don't think that was ever the intent. Like, Warhammer Fantasy doesn't have god beings ruling over mortals. It's not that kind of a high magic setting. It certainly doesn't have people turning into literal fucking dragons. Nor does it have enormous stone war golems. Like, this is craft that the dwarves forgot about 10,000 years ago, and yet the Chinamen have got it perfectly intact. Nah, it is far too utopian and perfect for Warhammer. I'm not a fan of it. Plus, the aesthetic is just China. Like, it's Total War 3 kingdoms that popped up in Warhammer for some reason.
Yep, just China, and they even have the Great Wall to top it off.
Yep, not super fond of it. Nathan Hillman says, I can't wait to see clips of the obvious jokes in this stream being used to prove that Arch is not a Z and a fat cyst. Z?
I do not know what a Z is. What is that? You don't even know, do you? You don't. That's why you didn't answer.
You don't even know.
Yeah, well, I don't. I just admitted that, but you didn't. So now I've got
you. Can't just admit that, guy.
I just did. He's like, you gotta take that back so I can point it out.
And Dragon of Dragon says, well, good news. It's a reading of the story, so you can play it in the background while doing other things. Yeah, but that still requires brain power.
It does,
and
actually.
Jack the Outcast says, hey, Larch, Kib and breed the communist dev. Breeding dev. I'm booking no dev again.
Do you want more devs?
I thank you, too. For if you count Dev and Lilith for sacrificing your time and sanity in watching this crap so I don't have to. I work 40 plus hours a week plus an hour to and from work. Good effing speed, gents. Thank you very much, sir.
Very generous.
And now we will wrap things up. But before we wrap things up, I do have one last picture for Kyle to show off.
Wait.
Because I found this funny.
Did you get the last super? The one from Dragon of Dragons?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Kyle, you're not paying attention. I'm going to hurt you now.
Did you change some of the wording? Maybe I'm just going insane.
Yes.
All right, I'll pull that up. Oh, you want me to pull that up? Are you sure? I'm glad I have it open on a different window. Okay, I'm just making sure. Okay.
It's a CNN headline. That's fine. It's mainstream. This is mainstream media. This is what YouTube wants us to show more to people. Okay?
They're just fucking reaching now. I mean, they've been doing that for a while. The police who killed Tyre Nichols, whoever that is, were black, but they might still have been driven by racism.
That is correct, chat. There you go. This is the official party line, as you can see. Read it, learn it, internalize it.
All right, now we have a new chip to put in the NPCs. The NPCs must regurgitate this. Dribble.
Yes. Tyre Nichols is the next person they're trying to George Floydify. It's a retarded story. It was one black dude who was apparently a criminal, but who knows? That'll be investigated to hell and back, who was beaten to death by 5 black police officers. And this, of course, was the fault of racist America.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, this is the perfect storm for both sides, because I don't even need to hear them or smell them. I can feel the race realists just vibrating in the scenes here. I've already seen tweets like, wow, these are very brutish people. I wonder if the media will comment on it. This is going to be a fascinating little blowout, I'm sure.
It'll be something, all right. Also, got a couple
and
more.
We had 2 more at the end. Mad Horse KD says, hey, Archchrist, just like Zeus rezzing after a few days, could you not necromancer the Skaven campaign? Would be nice to listen to while I'm starting up my manufacturing company. Pretty please. Well, Sargon might have something in store, role-playing wise. It is currently being explored. So maybe. And Mark to Shame says 5 Crips jumped 1 blood. Well, at least they know basic strategy, right? Always outmaneuver your opponent. And outnumber him too if you can. And outarm him too, preferably. But until next time, I will leave you with this this image of what races can do when they come together. All as one. They can make CNN headlines. It's an inspirational tale. Oh, Theoden, King of Broan, says the best 140k game is the Talisman Timescape expansion from 1988. Jesus Christ. That's too old. I don't even think that is too old. No, that is retarded.
Wait,
Stop
Arch
it.
saying it's
Stop
too
it.
old? Oh, you're such a zoomer now.
Stop it. That isn't even really 40k. That's retarded. Stop it now. Fucking Talisman. Until next time, thank you all for watching, and thank you all for your super generous donations, and I hope to see you all again soon, as I check if there is anyone... And there's the yellow symbol of piss again. Kyle!
You did it.
I did not. You did it.
Had you just agreed with me, we wouldn't have had this problem.
Okay, fine. Kyle's been whining at me for a few fucking days now. How do I don't redirect him, but only to actual real women? So I guess we'll redirect to him today. The fake woman.
Wow. Rude. Mean
Don't you meow
spirited.
at me.
I didn't meow. You said, what the You little shit. You're just making stuff up now.
Until next time, everyone. Have a good day. And if you hang around, we will be moving on to a Warno stream where everyone can be very sad and angry at each other.
You want to hear
Kyle
Arch get
most of all.
salty? Oh, no. You'll be saltier than I will be.
As Kyle's official new name is The Rage Muffin.
Oh, for fuck's
Good
sake.
night.
Bye.